The beach is where Auntie taught me my first lessons of obedience and trust. I was about 4 or 5 years old at the time, enjoying a beautiful sunny day outside. It was probably humid and hot, but kids never feel the heat when we were having fun. Aunt Patricia had just given us kids a snack of cheese doodles and allowed us to wander near on the thinly populated beach. Learning from experience is important to avoid repeating the same dangers or bad mistakes. My opening lessons for this book consists of three things. Never question an aunt's warning. 2. Seagulls and cheese doodles are my enemy. 3. There is love in a whooping. Never question an aunt's warning. Not wanting to eat my snack, I tossed one cheese doodle on the sand. To my amazement, a seagull swooped down and snatched it up. I was delighted. I had never seen such a thing in my young mind. I had discovered gold or oil, or heard that a new Star Trek movie had come out. The nerd that I am. Filled with exuberance, I threw several cheese doodles into the sky, and the seagulls snatched them right out of the atmosphere. Aunt Patricia's voice warned in the background, "You better leave those birds alone, boy," she sang when she spoke in a quiet voice that could be as loud as thunder when necessary. Auntie could not imagine the joy I was experiencing. It's just like a grown-up to try to ruin a kid's fun. Ignoring her warning, I continued to watch the birds circle while waiting for more cheese doodles, until there were quite a few circling. One swooped down close to me, startling me, helping me decide to end my fun with the birds. Seagulls and cheese doodles are my enemy. Regrettably, the birds were not finished with me so easily. As I walked away with my remaining snack, a few birds swooped towards me, giving me a wetting the pants level fright. The next moment, seagulls surrounded me, swooping in, trying to liberate my snack. Screaming, running, crying, and flailing my arms about, I clutched my snack and darted toward my aunt and cousins. Have you ever seen those movies where the people are moving in slow motion and you cannot seem to understand what they're saying? Well, that did not exactly happen to me. The people were not in slow motion, but they kept yelling at me foreign words that I could not decipher through my tears and howling. Auntie's voice boomed above the shouts. "Throw the bag away from you." My first thought was, why? I am being attacked by angry birds, woman. I suppose I was those birds invading pig, because it appeared that they would start hurtling into me to knock me down. As if she heard my thoughts, she thundered, "They want the cheese doodles." My snack became my mortal enemy once I understood. I like action movies. I imagined looking at my hand holding what to me then was the life-threatening explosive. I must escape before it detonated. It was less dramatic seeing me flail about on the beach than what was in my head, I wager. We, the snack and I, parted ways like the cork of a wine bottle being unplugged as the birds followed the clear plastic bag, sandwich bag of snacks to the ground and away from me. Aunt Patricia expressed after, "I told you to leave those birds alone. I bet you won't be feeding them again." Since I did not want the snack in the first place, it was an easy solution once I understood what to do to achieve safety. That time, God knew that I needed to obey my elders, and when I read the Book of Mormon, I discovered 2,060 stripling warriors in the Book of Helaman. Read that book. Thanks to Moroni's hard work in keeping the record safe that would become the Book of Mormon, I learned that those 2,060 young warriors were perfectly honest with God and humanity because they learned to be that way from their mothers. Aunt Patricia, surrogate mother and instructor of seagull defense, was the one who taught me to go to church, which I never faltered from doing. Hey, that makes of me an honorary stripling warrior, in that one thing at least. There is love in a whooping. Aside from birds attacking me, I courted trouble. I hated the consequences of it. Whoopings. Whoopings was the consequence of trouble, in my life, my kid life. A whooping is what we would get when we did wrong. Society and law considers it child abuse now, but when I was a kid, you could get a whooping with any object in the vicinity at the time of your transgression. I don't remember Moroni having anything about that in his writings. One experience of brush with whoopings occurred with Aunt Patricia, who was doing some household chores while all the kids were in one of the bedrooms wrestling and making a big fuss, except for me. Things were crashing and kids were laughing as I parlayed in another bedroom watching Bewitched or I Love Lucy. Aunt Patricia peeked in the room where I rested quietly and then proceeded to the other room. The shouting turned to deathly silence when she said in a calm voice, "All of you get to the front room." The kids paraded past, one by one, about 5 kids. After they went, I too devised a plan to include myself in the whooping as a spectator as I emerged from the room knowing that Aunt Patricia did not include me in the command to go forward. She pulled out the belt and began to talk to us about the reason the whooping would begin. "Not you, Rodric," Auntie spoke, looking in my direction as I stood, knowing I was not summoned. "You were doing nothing wrong." "Dang it," I said within myself. "I want to witness the whooping." Leaving the living room, I smiled within myself as she told me to go back to my show. I knew better than to smile on the outside where Auntie could see it, because that would get me included in the whooping in the wrong way. Turning the TV volume down so I could hear the agonizing cries, I laughed as the beatings began. The sounds were music to my devious little ears. I planned to tease them all later. Such a rotten fruit was I. For once, my cries would not be the loudest. The fact that I intended to join the other kids after my TV show in the rumpus made me feel good for being different. It helps when you avoid whoopings. Now, tears would flow from my eyes at the hint of displeasure in an adult's voice towards my behavior, or anytime my emotions ran high. Aunt Patricia won my undying respect once when I did some fighting with a cousin, I'm not sure whom, and she lectured us. When it was my turn for the whooping following the lecture, notice, reader, how there was never a lecture without a whooping. I was so angry with Aunt Patricia, I determined in my mind that I would not weep out of spite when she beat me. She gave me 6 hard licks. As the licks came, I thought that she would beat me until I cried, because I assumed adults only stopped whooping when they made kids wail in pain. Prepared to protest silently, I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing tears on my face. After the 6th lick, she told me to leave and not fight anymore. Baffled at why she did not continue, I considered her eyes to see no hate or anger there, but just patience. I would gloat about it later to the other kids that I did not cry, but I learned that Aunt Patricia did not whoop kids to make us cry. She did so to deter the behavior. Though a whooping rarely worked, I then knew I could trust that Aunt Patricia always had our best interest at heart. She loved me so much, she beat my butt to let me know the penalty for fighting. She won my heart by stopping when she thought the licks were enough to get the point across, without trying to gratify her pride by getting a fearful and sobbing response. Auntie cemented herself in my mind as my spiritual leader by whooping my butt. Now that was chapter 1.